This is for my sciencey spiritual people. I've been reading this book called The Map of Consciousness Explained by David Hawkins. In it, he talks about the different energy levels that people usually live at. Here it is right here. Most people actually live at a level below 200. 200 is your level of neutrality. Anything below that is considered a lower energy frequency. So if you think of people like Jesus, Buddha, Mahatma Gandhi, they lived at levels way above 700 into the infinite stages. And what I love about this is it helps you understand people a lot better. Let's say you hold the energy of 500, which is love. Anything that you say will be perceived differently depending on the person receiving it and what level they're at. I love this map so much because it really helped me detach from the need to be understood by people. Since most people live below 200, chances are really high that you're going to be misunderstood. So if you find yourself in a situation where you would have to lower your energetic state in order to match someone else's, you're probably better off letting it go.
Speaking of emotional dysregulation, this chart that shows, it's basically you have to do this before you do this, before you do this. So you have to meet all of your sensory needs before you can meet your physiology needs, which you meet your basic processes, higher level, blah, blah, blah. So do you want to know where regulation is? When you talk about dysregulation with, either autism or ADHD, regulation, physiology and regulation right there. It's in the orange. You see all these other colors in the rainbow? You want to know what all that is? That's all the executive and higher level things. So when we're dysregulated, that's all there is. We just stop. We can't go any higher. It takes up all the memory in our computer. So.
What if romantic love is an elaborate distraction to make us forget that we could be demanding community love? Because no one is sitting in bed and being like, I wish we were all in a loving community of bonds where we all supported. They're like, I just wish I had a girlfriend. You know what I mean? So they are limiting our imagination of love by hyper-fixating our attention on romantic love. There's so much media attention, if you think of movies, if you think of shows, if you think of dating apps, on romantic love. And you have to ask yourself, why? And I think it is because romantic love is the least threatening form of love to the state and its institutions. And they know we crave love. Like, they know there's never going to be a world in which we don't crave love, because we're social beings and because we're loving beings. So they've devised a form of love that is the least threatening, the least disruptive to the status quo. Because what are two people going to do in their kitchen versus what a community could do if they were truly in love with each other? You know why this is critical? When you love someone, you take up their concerns. And so suddenly, your neighbor's concerns become your concerns when you're in loving community with each other. It takes you out of yourself and into other people's needs. And how threatening would it be if we were all in each other's needs, if we truly loved one another?
I love that video so much because she makes the case that community love is actually a threat to the state and a threat to the patriarchy. For example, if you're living in community, you only need one lawnmower. You don't all need to buy some item even though someone else has it. But when you're in that capitalistic patriarchal state where you're trying to keep up with the Kardashians and the Joneses, and you're like, well, you have that lawnmower, I gotta have that lawnmower too, because you want to compete rather than watch out for one another. So there's a famous story about these Western psychologists that came to an African village after some natural disaster. And the villagers actually kicked the Western psychologists out because they were like, we heal in community. We heal outside, we heal through movement, we heal through dance, we heal together. And what you simply want us to do is go into a room and talk about our problems in isolation. That's not a way in which to heal. In this patriarchal society, we put so much pressure on our romantic partner to help us heal when our whole community can actually hold space for all of us to heal. And the more we actually cultivate that community friendship, the more we actually remind ourselves that we're not alone. So one of the best ways we can actually dismantle the patriarchy is to cultivate community love. So lean on your friends as much as you lean on your romantic partner. Actually go outside, meet your neighbors, talk to people outside on the street, remind them that they aren't alone. Because when we do that, we finally remind ourselves that we come from a culture of we and not from a place of me.
So how has sex and love and relationships changed as you got older?
I think until I was about 35, I thought I was going to meet my husband. So I was on the lookout for him. As I passed 35 and then hit 40, it started to dawn on me that this might not happen the way that I thought it was going to happen. And I had to make peace with that. As little girls, we grow up thinking that that's the only pathway. And I've changed a lot about how I view relationships. So I used to be focused on the chemistry. It was all about the chemistry. And where that led me is I ended up several times in like the 4th year of a 2-year relationship or the 8th month of a 2-month relationship. Because I would then find that in fundamental ways we weren't compatible. So upon the advice of actually a very young woman, who I was intrigued that she had this incredible insight, but I have found it to be true, which is this. First now, I focus on, do we have the same goal? In other words, are we both going to Santa Fe? Are we both going to New York? It doesn't really matter whether I'm taking the scenic route and he's taking the highway, as long as we're both going to the same place. The next thing I focus on is this person really available to me to build the kind of relationship that we want? Are they a workaholic? Do they have family obligations? Are they, at a place where they haven't done enough of the internal work? They don't know their interior. They're not ready and available. And then only third do I focus on the chemistry, because if those first 2 things are true, the chemistry will still be there. When I was entering relationships, chemistry first, I would find that there was this connection. But then I'm going to New York and he's going to Santa Fe, and it was never going to work.
So has that radically changed how your dating life has gone?
It changes what I focus on. Chemistry matters, but I know at this stage it's not enough. That could be all there, and we could ultimately not end up together, ultimately find out that we're not compatible